We are live in 1080p, high definition. The 49ers draft is over. The roster building process is a lot further along than it was just 2 days ago. 9 players added through the NFL draft. The 49ers have added several more through undrafted free agency. I'm keeping track of everything right now on our 49ers depth chart, which I can actually put up on the screen for you to show you where the 49ers are in this roster construction process. All that bright yellow, those are the rookies that the 49ers have added and are adding right now. And this thing will count for you. So 83 spots taken on the 90-man roster, only 7 spots left to fill. But those 7 spots, they're going to be interesting because I think the 49ers may even have a veteran signing or two up their sleeve. Why do I think so? Well, first, go ahead and check out the link to the Google Sheet. If you need to see it, it's right here. That is in the chat section. But the 49ers might have room to sign another veteran edge rusher now, maybe some other position. All depends on who is available because they restructured Christian McCaffrey's deal. And that means they opened up $8.6 million of cap space. They now have over $10 million of cap space. They're obviously going to need some for in-season maneuvers, but there is now room to make a move outside of just the rookie pool. And if that is the case, well, there are some edge rushers available on the market. I asked John Lynch about it today, and it didn't seem that he was very pleased that I asked the question, but I had to bring it up, right? I saw that the money had freed up. And, he kind of got through the question quickly. But the last time that I asked something that specific where John Lynch kind of wanted to get around the question was when I asked, are you going to bring in a big name defensive tackle? Is that a thing now for this football team, given how the interior defensive line struggled this past season? And obviously, a couple weeks later, the 49ers signed Javon Hargrave. So John Lynch is not going to disclose big signings before they happen. Not saying that that's evidence that a big signing is going to happen, but I am saying that this is on the table because I do like to follow the financial tea leaves. I do like to follow the performance tea leaves for the 49ers. And a lot of those do indicate that they might still be in the market for another edge rusher. Anyway, I digress. It's been an interesting 49ers draft. Another one is in the books. This is our article from today. Pop it up there. The 49ers 2023 NFL Draft Takeaways. Speed was a major focus to bolster a deep roster. I would say speed was a focus, and related to that, special teams capability was a focus because you see the 49ers entered this draft with a really deep roster. This is maybe the best roster in football. It's a title contending roster. It's not as easy as it was in 2017, 2018, or even 2019 to find your way onto the 53-man as a rookie. For that reason, you have to draft players that have a chance to make the team. You have to actually think about the probabilities. You have to look at the construction of the roster, and you have to tell yourself, I don't want to waste draft picks on guys that may not make the team, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. And it's made doubly difficult by the fact that the 49ers did not have a first-round pick. They did not have a second-round pick, and they weren't slated to start picking at the beginning of this draft until number 99. That's at the very end of the third round. Obviously, the 49ers traded up 12 spots to number 87. That's where they picked up safety Ji'Ayir Brown. But still, with 9 picks from number 87 onward, the 49ers had to make extra sure that they were drafting for a purpose, drafting the best player available, of course, but the best player available who had a chance to make the 49ers roster. And special teams became an operative part of that process. If somebody can contribute on special teams, they have a much better shot at making a deep roster than somebody who can't contribute on special teams. So speed was a major focus, and guess what is a very, very useful tool on special teams? Speed. Speed and special teams capability, it's a Venn diagram that has a lot of intersection in the middle. Anyway, I'm going to go through all 9 picks, including their round of selection right now. Why don't you prepare a lot of good questions? Why don't you like the video, subscribe to the channel? We'll grow the show tonight. The post-draft show is always one of my favorites because we get to review what just happened. We get to analyze what John Lynch said. I talked to John Lynch today. I talked to Kyle Shanahan today. I talked to Adam Peters today. And Tariq Ahmad, the 49ers head scout, first press conference for him. I thought that was a cool touch. He's been doing so much good work. The 49ers have just killed it between rounds 3 and 7. Adam Peters a big part of that, but Tariq Ahmad also a big part of that. So the 49ers put his face into the limelight today because he deserves it. He's been doing this work behind the scenes. Today he got a press conference. And, one reason that this organization tends to attract good talent in the front office is because they offer the chance of promotion. Goes back to the Bill Walsh era, really. Bill Walsh was always supporting the people in the building and giving them chances to work up the ladder. Well, Adam Peters got his first press conferences not all that long ago. Now Tariq Ahmad is getting his first press conferences. You can't be scared of success if you want to run a good NFL franchise. Having guys poached by other teams because your franchise is doing well actually means that things are running the way that they should. Bill Walsh realized that. And anyway, that has been a bit of a tangent, but Tariq Ahmad spoke today about the 49ers draft. So I want to convey some of the information about the draft to you. I want to answer some questions. I want to show you some good articles that we have up on The Athletic. This obviously is one of them, co-written by me and Matt Barrows. You can go ahead and check this one out. I'm going to put this in the comment section as well, so you can go ahead and see it. And then we'll embark on a busy week. I know tomorrow the Warriors play the Kings in Game 7. The Warriors looked really tired last night. I was watching that as the 49ers were gearing up to pick. So those of you who are Warriors fans, you're probably sitting on pins and needles ahead of Game 7, but I'm sure that Sacramento fans are too. I know that all of you, though, are 49ers fans, so you can watch that with the draft in the rear review mirror. Maybe the 49ers will make most of the 7 signings to fill out the roster before tip-off at 12:30 Pacific. Okay, let's get going here. Let's go through. And by the way, the Peters conference, the Ahmad press conference, Lynch, Shanahan, all that is up on the channel. So you can go ahead and bookmark those. But stay here for the live if you can. And make sure that you watch the rest of the content later. Also subscribe to The Athletic. You could take a look at this article in the chat section. So let's go through this draft. Let's get our water. Let's unscrew the lid here. Let's get up to 200 people, and then I'll start talking about the draft class. I'm just kidding. Yeah, 206. Just as I said that, we popped up from 193 to 206. That's awesome. First pick of the 49ers draft happened on Friday night. That was last night. Happened about exactly an hour ago, right? Exactly 24 hours ago at about 8 o'clock, I believe, on Friday night. It came at number 87 in the 3rd round. The 49ers originally owned their top pick at number 99, but they decided to trade up with Minnesota. Now, John Lynch gave Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who is the 49ers' former director of research and development, who's now the Vikings GM, he gave him a couple calls throughout the course of draft night. But the first time that John Lynch called, Kwesi did not want to trade with him. But finally, the 49ers were able to execute a trade. They sent one of their 3 fifth-round picks and one of their 4 seventh-round picks, along with number 102, which was the final pick of the 3rd round, to Minnesota in exchange for number 87. So it was a fair trade-up because if you look at the point values of these picks, I use the Rich Hill chart. It was essentially even. I think the 49ers won the trade by 3 points, but that is a negligible amount. So the trade up from 99 to 87 happened, and the 49ers picked Ji'Ayir Brown, who is up on the screen right now. That was their top pick. You see the Nittany Lion behind him at Penn State. Ji'Ayir Brown is a safety who is a football player. I know that you already knew this. I know that you didn't think that he played basketball or hockey or any other sport. He plays football. He's there in a football uniform, but football player is terminology for this guy can hit, this guy plays physically, and this guy is versatile. And that's why the 49ers do like Ji'Ayir Brown, who goes by the nickname of Tig for Tigger out of Winnie the Pooh. Supposedly, he was just bouncing around a lot as a kid, and that was the nickname that Ji'Ayir Brown's mom gave him. Well, with that nickname, he had a lot to live up to. He had to be a spark plug on the football field, and he has been a spark plug on the football field. 10 interceptions for Penn State, so we know that he can play the single high safety position effectively. And we also know that Ji'Ayir Brown can play near the box. In fact, he might be better playing in the box than he is single high, and that's saying something because 10 interceptions in college is nothing to to scoff at. But playing in the box, this guy is physical, throws his body around. He embodies a lot of what the 49ers want. They had the #1 defense in the NFL this past year. They did hit hard. The secondary was churning along. And now they have a new defensive coordinator in Steve Wilks, who was a big part of the 49ers draft evaluation process. I asked Adam Peters about that today. And I said, how did you get Steve Wilks so integrated into the process so quickly? Because what Adam Peters said, what stood out to him about this draft is that this is the most close cooperation that the 49ers coaching staff and their scouting department has had ahead of a draft. And that's so damn important to the 49ers. They love having that cooperation between coaching staff and scouting department. They actually credit that for all the success that they've seen in the 5th round, the 6th round, the 7th round, 3rd, 4th, all those later round, mid to later round picks. When the coaching staff specifically states the characteristics that they need in a player, and the scouting department absorbs that information in a productive way because of good communication, the 49ers can zero in on players who fit their system. In the case of Ji'Ayir Brown, they needed an interchangeable safety. They needed somebody who could play single high and who could play down near the line of scrimmage in the box. Why? Well, because Steve Wilks, the new defensive coordinator, who was such a big part of this process, is going to be playing a multiple defense. He's going to be tricky with the secondary. He's going to throw new looks at these NFC opponents and even the AFC opponents that the 49ers play. And with that, you're not going to know if Talanoa Hufanga is going to be near the box or if he's going to be playing single high. You're not going to know if Deshaun Gibson's going to be near the box or if he's going to be playing single high. And you're probably not going to be all too sure when the 49ers are going to employ a 3-safety set. And that's where Ji'Ayir Brown is going to be able to find himself into the mix early, barring any injuries. But the 49ers had safety injuries last year, so playing time for a 3rd safety can come sooner rather than later. But Brown fits the mold because he could play single high, he could play in the box, he's physical. The question about him, the one weakness, everybody wants me to talk about weaknesses. Well, the 4.6 40. You look at the 40 and it's a little slow. But the 49ers, their R&D department, speaking of them, they think that he plays fast. They think that the 40 is a tick off, but that it doesn't and isn't representative of his playing speed. Who's going to be right? Is the 40 time going to be right? Or is the 49ers scouting department going to be right? Well, I'll tell you what, the 49ers scouting department, I think, has a better track record than 40 times, but we will see. I don't want to make overarching blanket statements on draft picks too early because a lot of people will go out and say a player is great. A lot of people will go out and say a player is terrible. And all of those people are not correct because they don't know yet. The correct answer is that we don't know, but we do know that the 49ers love Ji'Ayir Brown's skill set. We do know that he's going to fit in as a 3rd safety, and we do know that they want him to be interchangeable, which he was based on his track record at Penn State. So there was consensus amongst the coaching staff, amongst the scouting department about this guy, Ji'Ayir Brown, and that's why we have him up on the screen. All right, let's move on to the next draft pick. That is going to be Jake Moody, the kicker. Oh, boy. I could already smell the controversy, although I feel that much of it was dispelled today. Here's Jake Moody, and I'll explain why it was dispelled. But with number 99, their original first pick, the 49ers went with a kicker. Is this high for a kicker? Sure. I mean, it's not usual. But I think the reasons why the 49ers went with this 3rd-round pick for Jake Moody are really clear, and you have to be pretty damn obtuse to not understand at this point. First of all, the Patriots at number 112 picked another kicker. Okay? 112 is not too far after number 99. By my terrible math, that's only 13 picks later. So the theory of the 49ers late on Friday night was that Jake Moody wouldn't last through the 4th round, and the 49ers didn't have a pick in the 4th round. And they said, this is the best kicker in the NFL draft by far. They might even think that he's a generational talent. The way that he kicked at Michigan, it's possible. I mean, he booted some crazy kicks. I mean, there was one that Adam Peters was talking about today where Jake Moody came out, nailed a 50-yarder to win the game while Michigan was fire drilling the kick unit onto the field. So nobody was ready. Nobody was set. No time to think about the kick. Laces were the wrong way. He didn't care. He stepped in there and drilled it. All of the psychological tests that Brian Schneider, the 49ers special teams coordinator, uses to determine if a kicker is going to be able to port success from the college to the pro level, Jake Moody aced with flying colors. So if the best kickers go in the 4th round, if that's usually where they're valued in the NFL draft, the 49ers were at the very end of the 3rd round and they didn't have a pick in the 4th round. They realized that Jake Moody would be off the board by the next time that they selected. And it was important for them to get Jake Moody because they're used to having a good kicker in Robbie Gould. They can't afford to retain Robbie Gould, but they could get a kicker on a rookie deal. If they drafted him, that would be about a 4th of the price of Robbie Gould. So the 49ers said, to hell with it. We're going to use a late 3rd round pick, which we kind of treat like a 4th round pick anyway because it's a comp pick and it's not part of the normal 3rd round rotation. We're going to use a late 3rd round pick to make sure we get Moody because he won't be on the board by the time that we pick next in the 5th round. It was like middle to late 5th round too. The 49ers were proven absolutely right today when Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots picked the kicker at number 112, 13 picks after they selected Moody. And Moody was definitely the best kicker in this draft. So if the 49ers hadn't picked Moody, the Patriots would have either picked him at number 112 or somebody else, maybe the Patriots would have traded up for 112 to grab Moody at some point. They might have even done it at number 100. So the 49ers were correct in their thinking that they needed to act at the end of the 3rd round to get Moody. The controversy is phony. People are fake. People want to be outraged because they think it makes them look cool or they get clicks or whatever. It is tiresome. This was a simple business decision. The business decision worked out because the 49ers wouldn't have been able to get Moody at any other spot really in the draft. The only other way they would have been able to execute this was to trade down a few picks into the 4th round. But even then, they'd be risking Jake Moody going at number 100 because the 49ers did not own pick number 100. They owned 99 and they owned 101. So they have Jake Moody. Anything else is insane nitpicking. Now, that doesn't mean that this pick is necessarily going to work out. Jake Moody does have to follow the 49ers scouting report, and he does have to actually deliver at the NFL level. If he does deliver at the level that the 49ers think he might deliver, that would be like a Justin Tucker level, and that's not what they're expecting, but they think it's possible. If that happens, he would have been worth a 1st-round pick. But I'll tell you the numbers right now. Over the past 2 seasons, Jake Moody has nailed 97.6% of his kicks from inside 49 yards. That includes extra points. He's been perfect on those. He's only missed 1 kick shy of 40 yards, and he's only missed 3 kicks shy of 49 yards. He also made half of his kicks over 50 yards, and it's unheard of for a college kicker to boot a 59-yarder, but Jake Moody did that. So this is an ultra-talented kicking prospect that the 49ers, frankly, think could be better than Robbie Gould, especially since Robbie Gould was a descending stock at age 40 and Jake Moody at 23 is an ascending stock. Jim Harbaugh endorsed, won a kicking competition under Jim Harbaugh. Again, was booting 59-yarders in college, was booting 50-yarders through poor weather. This is going to be a plus contributor if he lives up to what the 49ers projections of him are. And guess what? You need a kicker. All these people who are saying the 49ers don't need a kicker are going to be the first ones crying about it when somebody like Jose Cortez starts missing field goals at crunch time. This team plays a lot of close games. Don't forget Robbie Gould against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. That was poor weather. They're sure happy they had a kicker there, right? And they're hoping to develop Jake Moody into something similar. Now, the one issue with kickers is you can pick a quarterback like Trey Lance and invest a ton in him, but they still had Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster to ease the growing process for Trey Lance, right? With a kicker, you can't really ease the growing process. Yeah, they have Zane Gonzalez on the roster for nothing guaranteed, so they could get rid of him at any time. So theoretically, they could shepherd Moody along. But it's hard to justify that second roster spot for a kicker once you cut down to 53. So there's a lot of pressure on Jake Moody. There really is. But that's why they studied him before the draft to make sure that he was capable of handling that pressure. All right, we're going to move on to Cameron Latu. This is the 3rd round pick of number 101. And I have a couple graphics that I want to show you. So I'm going to spend some time popping them open. Hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday evening. Got a nice big crowd filing into the show. So that's good. We're going to have a nice, robust show talking about all the 49ers draft picks today. So stay tuned as we look for Cameron Latu. I had quite a bit of material on him today up on the page because to me, this is the biggest question mark. This might be the most concerning 49ers pick. If there's a pick that you're going to nitpick and wonder about, well, this Cameron Latu pick, there's good reason to question it a little bit. Here we go. Got it open. Popping it open on the screen. All right, take a look at this. This is an XY axis. You want to be further to the right and further up on the XY axis. Avoided tackles are on the X axis, so yak, essentially yak generated tackles that you forced the defense to miss. And the 10-yard split, the burst off the line of scrimmage, that's going to be on the Y axis. So look here, somebody like George Kittle, elite. His college mate, I can't say teammate because they weren't teammates, but college mate Sam Laporta, elite, and he was picked amongst the first of the tight ends. A lot of guys like Brenton Strange, really damn good. David Njoku, who's obviously been in the league for a while, really good. Mark Andrews, also a really good player. He's up in the top right. You get the point. Top right is good, but look where Cameron Latu, the 49ers' third-round pick, is. Bottom left. That's a problem. Now, the 49ers believe that this is a problem that will be solved over time, which is why they picked him in the third round. So this is the 49ers argument. This is what their research has told them, and we obviously have to listen to that so we understand what this team is trying to do. They say that Cameron Latu was an edge rusher when he came into Alabama on scholarship. He didn't convert to tight end until he was, I think, a sophomore, 2019. The conversion is still relatively fresh. Steve Sarkisian was the offensive coordinator at the time that Latu converted positions. He's now the head coach at Texas. Kyle Shanahan is an alum of Texas. He's a Longhorn. And Kyle Shanahan talked to Steve Sarkisian, and there was, just a glowing sense about Cameron Latu's ability to process an offensive playbook, which is really important because you're a big-time chess piece as a tight end in Kyle Shanahan's system. And the idea is that because Latu was still fresh to the tight end position, the 49ers watched his tape, and he wasn't a chump at Alabama. He's caught 8 touchdown passes in 2021, which is a program record for a tight end. But the 49ers, as they're watching his tape, they thought he got way better toward the end of 2022, to where if you had a look at his trajectory, it was like a roller coaster at Six Flags, like it was on the climb. The trajectory was moving up for Cameron Latu, and then his college career ended. So you look at something like this and you say, oh, no, this is not good. The burst isn't there. The avoided tackles aren't there. The 49ers think those are coming. And I predicted that the 49ers would pick Cameron Latu. Let's put that out there. I had him in my mock draft, but I thought he was going to be a 5th-round pick. I didn't think they were going to use a late 3 on him. And I think that's the rest of the league might have thought too, because the athletic profile wasn't great here. But again, the 49ers didn't have a 4, and they really believe in the upward mobility of Cameron Latu's trajectory. They think he's going to get faster. They think that he's going to get more explosive. They think that he's going to be a better tackle breaker. They think that he's still growing into his body. The quote from John Lynch is that they think his body still has a lot more to give. So the 49ers have analyzed this closely, and they believe that they got value with Cameron Latu. Are they right? I don't know. That's why it's the biggest question mark of this draft. I will say that when I predicted that the 49ers would draft Cameron Latu, I broke down some film of his blocking, and he's a much more agile blocker than I think he gets credit for. I could see why the 49ers think that he's somewhat of a natural that's going to pick some of this stuff up at a rapid pace moving forward. But I don't know if they're going to be right. I could see why they think that, but I don't think anybody knows 100% if they're going to be right. They did think it was worth it to use that final 3rd-round pick of theirs, number 101, because they traded number 102 away on Cameron Latu. So we'll pay attention to it. We'll find out moving forward. Water break. Spent 24 minutes of straight talking here. Hopefully your questions are going well. Hopefully the audience continues to grow. We'll open up the Q&A when this thing is roaring at full speed. We're almost at 500, which is good. Tell your friends. Take this link, shoot it off to your friends right now. Say, hey, check out David Lombardi. He's doing his show. He's talking about the entire 49ers draft class, and he's only 3 picks in. I think it's pretty easy to share off of YouTube, right? So you can just fire it off. You can put it up on Twitter. You can put it on Facebook. You can support the channel in many, many ways. All right, I'm going to get Mock Draftable open here. They're the ones with the spider charts, so we can look at some of these 49ers players as we go through the rest of them. Here we go. Boom. We move on to the 5th round. I mentioned the 49ers didn't have a 4th round pick. So this was today, obviously. This started on Saturday. I think the 4th round started at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then the 49ers picked Darrell Luter Jr. maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into the event. This was mid-3rd round, so mid-4th round. So we're waiting a little while, but it ended up being worth the wait for the 49ers. Note that Luter Jr. didn't participate in a bench press or a strength exercise, but his main calling card is his strength. If you put on this guy's film, and he's about 5'11", here, well, we'll see his full measurements if we scroll down. They say 6 feet right here, but I say 5'11 and a half, 190 pounds. Look at the arm length on Darrell Luter Jr., 32 3/8 inches. Those are long, long arms. And then look at the speed measurements, 4.46 40, 157 10-yard split. You can see on the spider chart here that he's over 90th percentile in hand size, also really big hand size, 81st percentile in arm length, good 40-yard dash, 64th percentile, and really good explosiveness with a 91st percentile vertical leap. There's also the 3-cone drill at 6'9". Anything under 7 seconds is good. He's at the 60th percentile. So essentially here you have a lot of measurements that impress the 49ers, like those of Samuel Womack, who they drafted last year out of Toledo. But Darrell Luter is a little bit bigger. He's 6 feet tall. And the main calling card, if you talk to Tariq Ahmad, is his strength. He's not afraid to get up into guys' business and be physical at the line of scrimmage. I asked him about it today, and he said that press man coverage has come natural to him ever since he was a youngster. So this is a guy that likes to get down and dirty, also play near the box. To me, it sounds like a really good nickel back prospect. On top of that, the 49ers think he's really mature. He's 23 years old, but he's already married. He already has a family. And the 49ers, he talked to Adam Peters, he actually spoke of this as, this guy, this is a job. This is a serious occupation. We're signing this guy to bigger money. This is a situation where the 49ers are using a valuable draft pick, and there's an opportunity cost if you don't use it on the right guy. They really believe that Darrell Luter can be the right guy in that 5th round. So they're going to get interchangeability here between inside and outside because he is 6 feet tall. But they love the fact that he's got the agility. He might be quicker than he is fast. I think that plays well to the inside. The long arms play well anywhere, right? Long arms get in the way of passing lanes. And the physicality plays well anywhere, especially in the 49ers scheme. But I think it's going to play really well near the line of scrimmage. I think that they signed Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons. He's a veteran who's better at nickel than he is outside. So maybe Isaiah Oliver is the front runner to start. But a guy like Darrell Luter Jr., he's going to be a player in this competition. And I go back to what I said at the start of the show. Special teams ability is very, very important. And I think that Darrell Luter Jr. is, with the speed, with the arm length, with just his head is on straight. I think he's going to be a guy that can contribute for the 49ers on special teams. So that is the 49ers' first 5th round pick. Then we move to a really intriguing one. This is Robert Beal Jr., defensive end, edge rusher out of Georgia. Let's find this spider chart. This one's going to be good for Robert Beal. I mean, this is the best college football program in America now, right? The Georgia Bulldogs. Guys are destroying people in the national title game. 49ers brought in a TCU player who was on the receiving end of a beating administered by Robert Beal in Georgia. All right, check this out. We have more elite athleticism scores. This in the 40-yard dash, 98th percentile, 10-yard split, 70th percentile. Crazy arm length, 86th percentile. Look at this, 4.48 40-yard dash. This says 1.62, 10-yard split. I've seen 1.57 elsewhere, but still fast. Arm length, 34 5/8 inches. And about 6'4" in height, 247 pounds. This is an edge rusher who's got some of the longest arms that we've seen. He said he has trouble wearing clothing because his arms are so long today on the Zoom call. But again, the 40 is 98th percentile. You see it right down here. This guy is an athletic freak, and the 49ers were able to find him late in the 5th round. So you might be asking, how the hell did he slip down there? He went to Georgia. Look at these measurables. Well, Georgia, they're stacked. So they have a lot of really good defensive linemen. So he didn't see playing time because of that. In fact, there was a point during his college career that Robert Beal decided to enter the transfer portal, but he decided to withdraw his name from the transfer portal. So he continued playing for Georgia. He had, I think 3 sacks last year. When the 49ers talked to Kirby Smart, who's Georgia's head coach, Kirby Smart told them, this guy, he's got some lateral movement issues. You can see here the vertical jump is suspiciously low, 30 inches, 16th percentile. He obviously isn't the biggest guy. He's at 247 pounds. You don't want him playing the run. Set this guy up to just line up and run around the edge and let his athleticism shine, and he'll be a great pick for you. So Kirby Smart told John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. So the 49ers drafted Robert Beal. And the 49ers have this rating called the GTFO rating, the Get the Out rating. And it's an R&D department rating. It's a metric designed by the 49ers analytics department that's meant to quantify what Chris Kasarik, the great defensive line coach of the 49ers, needs in a player, because they want to find prospects for Chris Kasarik. Robert Beal was off the charts in the GTFO rating. I mean, off the charts. And you can see it here. You can see why here. That spider chart is something else. In a wide 9 where the defensive line is elongated and you're setting the edge rushers up with a lot of space to be able to roar around the edge, you need that edge rusher that can hit it hard, right? That can come around the edge extremely, extremely fast. And the 49ers believe that Robert Beal is that guy. They believe that he has that skill set of being able to come around the edge with that kind of speed. I'm messing here with a little bit of the lighting because it got dark coming out of the window outside. So I want to make sure that the lighting still looks nice and crisp. So GTFO rating through the roof for Robert Beal Jr. They're already talking about him as a specialty rusher in some sub packages to come in and close a game on 3rd down. That's how much they believe in this guy's athleticism. They really think that, listen, he's not doing this alone. The 49ers have Nick Bosa. The 49ers have Javon Hargrave now. They have Eric Armstead. They have somebody. Javon Kinlaw is now a rotational piece, right? So when you have that many, we have that many defensive linemen drawing attention from opposing blockers, you could see somebody like Robert Beal Jr. lining up on the edge, coming in on a specialty 3rd and 8, rolling around there and obliterating the quarterback. That's the vision for the 49ers. And then over time, they hope that he can develop some counter moves. Robert Beal asked him, about the 49ers and Nick Bosa and how much they watch the Niners. He said Georgia watches them all the time. Cameron Latu said that Alabama steals plays from the 49ers on offense. Robert Beal said that Georgia, the best defensive line in college football, is sitting there emulating the 49ers D-line. So now Robert Beal gets to actually learn from Nick Bosa, who has a lot to share with him as far as technical know-how. What an opportunity. You take an athlete this awesome, this raw, put him in a room with Chris Kasarik and Nick Bosa. I think you have a decent chance of it ending up pretty positive. So that's the 49ers' hope with Robert Beal. Robert Beal's excited about it as well. Moving on to the 6th round. This was a compensatory pick, I believe, through the DJ Jones departure. Remember that the 49ers entered this draft with only 2 picks after the trade of Trey Lance and Christian McCaffrey. The trades for Trey Lance and Christian McCaffrey, I guess I should say. Trade for number 3 to acquire Trey Lance, and then a 4-pick deal for Christian McCaffrey. Well, the 49ers, that would have depleted their draft capital, except for the fact that they played the comp pick game extremely well, both through the minority hiring incentive and through just free agency departures and pickups. And because they played that so well, they ended up with 11 picks despite only having 2 original picks, 9 comp picks for the 49ers. They maxed out the formula. They ended up picking only 9 times total because they traded 2 picks away. But in the 6th round, with one of those comp picks, they picked up this guy, Dee Winters, another smaller player who for some reason doesn't have a great vertical jump, but is awesome in the speed department. 40-yard dash, 10-yard split, really good. 94th percentile on the 40. This is a linebacker, Dee Winters, 4.49 40, 1.56 10-yard split. I'll tell you what about Dee Winters. This guy was a missile blitzing for TCU. The numbers are really solid for Dee Winters. 7.5 sacks blitzing as a 227-pound linebacker. So he's a little slight of frame. He's going to have to add some weight at the NFL level, or maybe he won't. Maybe the league is downsizing appropriately. My one concern, if I'm the 49ers, would be the teams are just going to run at this guy all day if he's a slight 227 pounds. 49ers picked another linebacker, Jalen Graham, a little bit later. He's 220, but he's a little bit more muscular 220. It looks like he carries that 220 a little bit better than Dee Winters. But they chose Dee Winters over Jalen Graham, I think mainly because of the speed. Jalen Graham, not nearly as fast. The speed for Jalen Winters is legit. 94th percentile 40, as you can see there. And on tape, the guy's blowing up run plays. The guy's carving through the line. I asked him about blitzing, and he just lit up. He smiled today, and he said, it's one of my favorite things. Videos on the channel, by the way. So like and subscribe and go check out video of that interview with Dee Winters. The 49ers went as far as to say that Winters reminds them of Dre Greenlaw. Now, if you remember Dre Greenlaw in college at Arkansas, the chips in the shoulder pads said that he had the fastest GPS time, miles per hour, out of the entire Arkansas defense, and that came as a 230-pound linebacker. That's how the 49ers were sold on Dre Greenlaw. They picked him in the 5th round. They lived happily ever after. With Dee Winters, they picked him later in the 6th round because he's a little bit lighter. Looks like the build isn't quite what Dre Greenlaw's is, but boy, is he fast. He's faster than Greenlaw, and I think the 49ers really, Steve Wilks is going to blitz a lot. Steve Wilks, I talked about the interchangeable safeties. I talked about the complexities he's going to want on the back end. You look at somebody like Dee Winters, he could be a glorified big slot. He could be somebody coming in, blitzing off of that edge, off of that slot position in opportune situations for the 49ers. Again, you don't have to be past the careers of Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw to see Dee Winters getting some playing time. Steve Wilks is one of the more creative minds in football as a defensive coordinator, and I'm absolutely sure that he can make something work if a player does have the physical skill set to make a plus impact at the NFL level. And the 49ers think that of Dee Winters. Now, he's going to have to get stronger. But remember what I said about speed and special teams. This is a guy that can be an immediate special teams contributor, and that can be his ticket to the 53-man roster. All right, let's move on. Let's see if we have a spider chart for this next guy. We do, but he didn't run, so it's nothing great. It's Braden Willis. I have some stats for you on Braden Willis. Averaged 7.1 yards after the catch per reception. Was not a prolific receiver at Oklahoma. 49ers love how he blocks. He says he wants to be the next George Kittle. He's talked a lot about emulating George Kittle. Again, we don't have a 40 time on Braden Willis. So Kittle was a 4.5. It's going to be hard to match that, 250 pounds. Kittle's special. Kittle's a specimen. Somebody like Braden Willis has got a lot of work to do to get to that point. But I do think it's interesting that he went to Oklahoma, and Kittle's dad, Bruce, who I think participated in his triathlon today. Going to have to check in with Bruce Kittle to see how that went. If you're watching Bruce, then please let us know how your triathlon went. But anyway, Bruce Kittle was formerly the O-line coach at Oklahoma. Not when Braden Willis was there, but Braden Willis talked so much about George Kittle in his interview today that it was like, okay, I can see the 49ers. I can see why they think this guy might be able to follow in Kittle's footsteps and be the complement for George Kittle that they're looking for. Remember that they picked Cameron Latu in the 3rd round, and they picked Braden Willis in the 7th. This is a good example of double dipping at a position. And I think they double dipped here because they really they're badly itching for a good complement to George Kittle that they can develop. They do have Ross Dwelley under contract. They do have Charlie Werner under contract, but neither of those two guys is guaranteed a spot, or at least a spot with significant playing time. If the 49ers can upgrade, they will upgrade. And I think that Braden Willis might be their ticket to that end. Let's go to Ronnie Bell. Let's see Ronnie Bell's spider chart. I haven't looked this one up yet. Wide receiver, second to last pick for the 49ers. So this is a good one. Out of Michigan. He said that you could always count on Jake Moody, who's teammates with the 49ers' new kicker under Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Look at Ronnie Bell. He's quicker than he is fast. The 40-yard dash is only 37th percentile. But the vertical is promising. That's a really good vertical leap, 38.5 inches. Got good hand size, good 20-yard shuttle. A 20-yard shuttle is 71st percentile. That, to me, at 415 is worth talking about. Now, Ronnie Bell can get stronger. He's 5'11", 191, a little slight of frame. But the quickness and the football instincts of this guy are what appeal to the 49ers. They think he could be a punt returner. They want to make sure that Ray McLeod has some support on this roster. And McLeod's only under contract for one more year. They want to start working on another punt returner. You don't want to make Brandon Ayuk have to get back there again, especially if he's about to get paid big money, and perhaps as soon as next year. So Ronnie Bell can make this team through special teams, even if speed is not his calling card. So we talk about speed being a focus of the 49ers. Well, being a football player is a bigger focus. And they think Ronnie Bell, coming off an ACL in 2021, 60-plus catches in 2022, 800-plus yards. This guy made big plays at big-time college football level. 49ers think this guy's a football player. Just like Ji'Ayir Brown, remember Ji'Ayir Brown? I said football player. 49ers think that of Ronnie Bell, who got Jim Harbaugh's endorsement. So 7th-round pick, will he make the team? I don't know. Will Danny Gray make the team? I don't know either. So there might be an open spot at that wide receiver position, especially if Ronnie Bell can deliver on special teams. Finally, the 49ers rounded out their draft with Jalen Graham. Graham is not nearly as fast as Dee Winters. In fact, let's see if we have Jalen Graham here in our spider charts. We do. Let's see where it's at. It's not a very impressive spider chart outside of the size measurements, right? It says it's 40, but his 40-yard dash is above average or faster than average. He's at what? 4.64. So that's going to be around Fred Warner's speed, who is around a 4.6. Warner's not blazing fast, but he's got great anticipatory skills. And that's the 49ers' hope with Jalen Graham. Pair him with Dee Winters as the two rookies coming in this draft class and see which one sticks. See if maybe one makes the practice squad or one actually makes the 53-man roster through some special teams prowess. I will say that Dee Winters ahead of the 49ers right now because he won the competition of evaluation between himself and Graham. But OTAs are about to start. And we'll see if the 49ers can keep on fortifying this roster before then. One way that they're definitely fortifying it, Joey Fisher. I talked about him a little bit earlier. Undrafted free agent, offensive lineman, because you may be wondering how the 49ers didn't draft an O-lineman. They didn't think anybody in the lower rounds there had a chance of making the team. So instead, they took a gamble, and they let Joey Fisher slide out to undrafted free agency, signed him as a priority free agent. This guy has more bench press reps than any other lineman in this draft. He didn't go to the combine, though, so he has 40, but, the bench press is the same at the combine or away from it. 40, beating Andrew Voorhees, who had 38 on that torn ACL at the combine. And Joey Fisher also has a 4.940 split and a 4.940 and a 1.67 10-yard split. Those are amongst the fastest time of any offensive lineman in football. So the guy is both strong and he is fast. And he might be the most athletic of all offensive linemen, but he went to a small school, Shepherd University. He actually was a locksmith for 2 years, not that long ago. Maryland didn't want him as an offensive lineman a few years back. That was DJ Durkin, the head coach. He's no longer there. So Joey Fisher transferred to Towson, and then from Towson, he didn't like it there, so he was a locksmith working for his dad, who's also a locksmith. Finally went to the small school, Shepherd University. That's why he's unheralded, but supposedly he dominated people at Shepherd, was a mauler there. He's got shortish arms. They're a little bit shorter than you'd like, so that could have hurt his draft stock too, but I think it was the small school thing that mainly hurt him because Joey Fisher held his own at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. So this is fascinating stuff. I mean, the 49ers might have themselves a gem in Joey Fisher, and then they have other players in undrafted free agency. Speaking of that, we should go to the depth chart, right? Let's do it. Let's take a look here. Let's talk about where the 49ers are with this football team and another draft in the books. I'm copying and pasting the link. I'm going to put it back into the chat section. We're going to be coming up on questions here pretty soon. So go ahead and be ready for those. Be ready to put in your best questions. Oh, Mike sent me something. Oh, cool. We got some draft class athletics scores. Thanks, Mike. I wasn't looking at this. Mike sent us some good stuff. So let me save it. Let me get it ready for processing. Braden Willis has a message. So I'm going to download this too. And this will give me a little break from talking. So why don't we put this up on the screen? Why don't we watch what Braden Willis has to say. It's going to be good. Mike doesn't send stuff that's not good, so. I got to find it. There it is. All right, you guys ready for this? Boom.
Yeah, I'm a dog, man. Ain't got me messed up. 31 teams gonna pay. 31 teams gonna pay. Yes, sir. 31 teams gonna pay. 31 teams gonna pay. I promise you. I'm gonna be the best tight end out this class. 31 teams gonna pay. I promise you. Yeah, they got me messed up. Okay. All right. Yeah. Come on. 31 teams gonna pay. I promise you. 31 teams gonna pay. My boys got me messed up. 31 teams fast up. 31 teams got me messed up. What? Bro, I'm ready tonight, man. It's a parade up in my city, yeah. Come on, man. Yeah. You know, we lit, man. We lit. Yeah. Hey, tell them, cuz. It's a parade up in this.
31 teams are going to pay, according to new 49ers tight end Braden Willis. You like to see that if you're a 49ers fan, right? You like to see the enthusiasm, thrilled to be drafted by the 49ers, thrilled to be working with George Kittle. I asked Braden Willis today, what he enjoys about the physical aspect of the game, because I think so far on tape he's a better blocker than he is a receiver. And he said he enjoys getting after people. He enjoys moving a man from point A to point B against his will. Says that's the sweetest feeling that you can have on the football field. Guess who else says that same exact quote? George Kittle. So 49ers may have themselves a dog, and Braden Willis picked in the 7th round, and we'll see how that all progresses. All right, so Mike also sent me this. Why don't we give Mike a nice big thank you right here. This is the 49ers relative athletic scores of their entire 2023 draft class. So you obviously want to be green more than you want to be yellow or red, but yellow's okay. Red, there's 2 players that don't have great relative athletic scores, and that is Braden Willis at 4.71 and Jalen Graham at 4.33. I mentioned, and we saw the spider charts for Jalen Graham. But Robert Beal, Darrell Luter, really good. Robert Beal Jr., Darrell Luter, really good. Cameron Latu, solid. Ji'Ayir Brown, not great, but we talked about the fact that the 49ers R&D department thinks that he's more of a football player than he is a 40 guy. They think he plays a lot faster. And then you have Dee Winters, not great athletic score, but he's really fast. We do know Dee Winters is at 4.4, and he plays fast, so it's a 5.71. Ronnie Bell, really good relative athletic score there. I didn't notice that. I mean, I know that we saw that he's quicker than he is fast, but the score really shines on Ronnie Bell. So this is an interesting metric. It shows that the 49ers do have some athleticism throughout this entire 8-person draft class. All right. Let's get this back here. Another 49ers draft class in the books. How about this? How about 49ers Q&A? Thank you to Mike. Got that up for us. 31 teams are going to pay, says Braden Willis. Let's get the article back up on the screen here. Fill up some of that blank wall. Not in the studio. Looking forward to being back in the studio. I think that's going to be nice moving forward. All right, here you go. Another 49ers draft class in the books, and I'm ready for 49ers Q&A with all of you. So let's get these questions in. G-Rod says Bell could be a Cooper Kupp. That'd be crazy. I don't know about that. Cooper Kupp was breaking records in college. I know he's playing at a lower level. Probably a lot to ask Ronnie Bell to be that good, but I think that he could be surprisingly good for the 49ers. Andrew Sugg says the 49ers got the jackhammer from Oregon State. So Andrew Sugg is talking about right here. He's talking about Jack Coletto. He's a fullback / linebacker. So I have him right behind Kyle Juszczyk for right now. He might be a jack of all trades and a master of none, but I think that he's going to be an impressive player for the 49ers. Impressive 90-man roster player, then it's the matter of making the actual football team. But we'll deal with that as the offseason progresses. Yeah, I hope the 49ers got better. I mean, they added depth. They added depth that looks like it can fit. That can, the special teams surged a lot last year. Special teams needed some replenishment. I think he got it over the past 2 days. McCrary Ball is good. McCrary Ball is going to be competing, though, with some new linebackers, including Dee Winters. Ray Jr. likes the 49ers picks. Can't wait for the season to start. Dinner. What is for dinner? For me, I was at Topgolf. I swung by Topgolf right by Levi Stadium just to check it out. And I might watch the Warriors game together tomorrow. They got this amazing TV setup. I had some flatbread just from Topgolf for dinner. There's a second dinner because I'm tired of doing all these shows and I'm hungry in a bit. It'll be In-N-Out Burger, but I don't know if that would be very healthy. So I might stay away from that. Didn't get to swim today because I'm busy covering the NFL Draft. Are you kidding me? You want to get John Lynch out of here because PFF gave the 49ers a bad grade. Ooh, PFF gave him a bad grade. I'm going to go home, sit down, and cry about it. Give me a break. 49ers didn't draft until late in the 3rd round. You haven't even seen these players step into the facility yet. And you'd rather trust some arbitrary ranking of somebody who has nothing to do with the organization. I mean, it wasn't in the room studying these guys. You'd rather trust some arbitrary ranking of some guy sitting behind a computer screen than actually waiting to see how these guys fit when the track record is on the 49ers side. John Lynch has built a really strong roster. He doesn't get enough credit for it. This is a joke take. I'm sorry. This is an absolute joke. Lynch is a top 5 GM. I don't think that's even controversial at this point. You look at what they've built organizationally. You look what they've built roster-wise. To say that a PFF ranking is going to upset you on Saturday night before a draftee has ever stepped in the building is a joke with a capital J. Can Robert Beal challenge Drake Jackson for 3rd down pass rusher? Absolutely. He's got a skill set. And, they could also divvy up some of those 3rd down pass rusher roles. If they need a pure speed rusher, you could bring Beal into the mix. If you need, Drake Jackson's got a lot of that bend and that length. He might be stronger next year. He needs to be stronger next year. He might be a guy that you can play more than, just 3rd down. He might be a guy that can defend the run as well. So competition is a healthy thing. Competition under Chris Kasarik is a really good thing for a football team. Yeah, a little spicy. I've been sitting here. People have been baselessly attacking me all week. I think I give the fairest analysis that there is. There's a pick. I'll say what's good about it. I'll say what's bad about it. And most of all, I'll say we don't know yet. I don't know if the guy's going to be great, but I'll tell you why the 49ers think he's great. Then I'll tell you, hey, the 49ers might want to pump the brakes here a little bit. Maybe the guy will prove me wrong. Here's what the 49ers think, though. That's what I say, right? I try to be as fair as possible with every single pick that comes across the board. Yet, because I don't sit down and trash every single thing that happens irrationally, because I'm not a 5-year-old child, then people will try to trash me. And it gets a little old. Like, you'll sit there and people, they're anonymous. They just sit on the YouTube comment section and they just want negativity. What happens is it's just a projection. If you're negative about your own life, then you're going to want negative coverage about the 49ers. Because it makes you feel better about something. So anyway, you get a lot of negativity, and it's just ridiculous. We're playing it down the middle on this channel. I appreciate all of you for watching because this is fair. This is objective journalism. I don't think that there's enough of it in the world these days. So we absolutely need to continue covering this team in a fair way. That's why you need to subscribe to The Athletic. That's why I want you to subscribe to this channel. And I appreciate everybody for supporting this. And, you know, like I like PFF too, but PFF is good for certain things. Jeff Deeney from PFF covering the Niners does an awesome job. One thing that you shouldn't use PFF for is a recreational article ranking the draft right after it ends and using that as your metric for whether or not the draft is good. PFF, their evaluations are a useful tool. I think they do really hard work that you have to obviously take everything with a grain of salt, but the ability to differentiate different pieces of information, right? And realize what is practical toward forming an opinion and what's not is extremely important. And that skill seems to have gone out the window. So I'm not talking bad about PFF. I'm talking bad about people that want to look at a ranking from PFF and use it as some kind of biblical notion about, some referendum on the draft. Jack Coletto, this is the Oregon State guy. Let me put this up on the screen for you. This is that fullback / linebacker / quarterback / every single position. The hammer from Oregon State. Bang, bang, Niner gang, Jack Coletto said. My friend sent it to me. RJ sent it to me, and he said, peak Shanahan right here, Jack Coletto. Yes, John Lynch does get an A for building a strong 49ers roster over the years. Why don't we just keep Jack Coletto up there for a little while? That's fun. I think I just retweeted him. Yeah, I did. He deserves it. Pac-12, Oregon State. I'm missing Ronnie Bell on my spreadsheet. Why don't we fix that, huh? Wide receivers, Ronnie Bell. Where is he going to go? And I think Ronnie Bell is higher up on the depth chart than a lot of these guys immediately. He's going to have to earn a spot, though. Why don't we put Tyron Johnson over here? This is an inexact science. And Ronnie Bell right here. I haven't been tracking the undrafted free agents while I've been live for like an hour. So I need the paint symbol right here, there. All right, Ronnie Bell. That becomes the 84th player on the roster. So 6 spots left for the 49ers. Go back to Jack Coletto. I don't give draft grades until these guys actually play. I'm not here to get clicks. I'm not going to. It's a good question, but that answers it. Who's the best guy the 49ers drafted this year? I don't know. I mean, we got to see how these guys translate to the NFL level. I mean, the top pick is Ji'Ayir Brown, so he might be the front runner. But I don't know. They really like Luter. Beal can develop into somebody with that athleticism profile. Joey Fisher, the undrafted free agent, that lineman, he might have some juice. We'll see. Yeah, the team had some good food for us. Every day we had food. Today we had both breakfast and lunch. There was beef, there was chicken. We had some crab cakes today, a lot of good fruit, some good dessert. It was nice. It was nice. I was happy about it. My favorite pick, well, it was cool they picked Cameron Latu because I projected they'd pick him, but I talked about it with Mike. I picked him a little bit early. But I see why. Not having a 4th-round pick created a little bit of a vacuum there, and 49ers tried to overcome that vacuum. I don't know who's going to be a breakout surprise. That's why it's going to be a surprise. We shall see. Joey Fisher is an offensive tackle, yes. Because I think, that may be the undrafted free agent has the best chance to make an impact on the team. He might be the most athletic offensive lineman out of this entire rookie class. 4'9", 40, what was it, like 167, 10-yard split, 40 reps on the bench, most of any offensive lineman. It's impressive from Joey Fisher. 31 teams are going to pay. That's from Braden Willis. Well, maybe we go live one more time tonight. How about that? How about I take a little bit of a break here, rest a little bit. We've gone for an hour. And as soon as I'm back, we'll restart this show. Maybe I could even keep it on for the time being. Give you guys a little Lombardi will be right back screen. We'll see. Turn off the camera, go from there, and then pick up the live in just a little bit. Yeah, why don't we take a little bit of a break? I'll be back soon. Let's keep the stream going, and we'll just give one here. Lombardi will be right back. Boom. It's an hour in. It's hard to talk for an hour. So I'll talk to you all in just a little bit. All right. Let's get this going again. I'm back. I promised I'd be back. We're here to talk about Trey Lance. Look at that viewer count going back up. Took off the blazer. It was getting hot. Wrote this today. Trey Lance is officially fully cleared now. So we've got him on the docket. OTAs start in just a few weeks. Rookie minicamp. The rookies that we just talked about over the course of the last hour report in about just a little less than 2 weeks. March 11th. That's going to be the rookie minicamp for the 49ers. We'll get our first look at those guys in uniform on the field. Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, all those players already in the building. They're going to continue to be in the building through probably mid-June when the veteran minicamp is. So the next month and a half is really, really important for Trey Lance to work on the stuff he needed to work on. We talk about mechanics for Trey Lance. It looks like he has been working on the throwing motion, tightening it up with Jeff Christensen. That is the quarterback's coach who actually was Jimmy Garoppolo's first quarterback's coach. So that's good for Trey. Quicker release is necessary. You just got to become mechanically more consistent. That's really important. He has to, you look at footwork, you look at pocket presence, you look at quickness of release. The more consistency that happens throughout all three of those facets of his game, the more accuracy we'll see, and accuracy is where he lagged behind in the past. Massive offseason for Trey Lance, so it is big news that he is fully cleared now, because it's going to be him and Sam Darnold splitting some reps for the 49ers moving forward through this offseason. Other news this weekend, I hope that I still have some text titles for this. I might have erased stuff a little bit earlier, though. Yeah, I did. So I'll put it back up on the screen here. Ayuk's fifth-year option picked up. $14.1 million for Brandon Ayuk in 2024. 49ers can still go in a number of directions with this. They can extend him. They could still trade him. They could just let his contract run out, lame duck kind of period, and then get a comp pick. But I think that Brandon Ayuk is better than that. I think that if he puts up another 1,000-yard season, they will extend him next offseason. Now, Javon Kinlaw, fifth-year option, not picked up. This, by the way, probably will become official tomorrow, or 2 days from now on Monday. The deadline's coming up 2 days from now. But Javon Kinlaw's fifth-year option was not picked up, which is significant because we expected it, but he was a first-round pick. When you don't pick up the first-year option, kind of like Chase Young's wasn't picked up, well, you kind of sit back and say that it hasn't really worked out the way that the 49ers wanted it to yet. But Kinlaw still has another year in a contract. The hope for him is that Javon Hargrave now will deal with the brunt of the pressure. Kinlaw can be a rotational piece. Might be good for his knee, which was really ailing last season. And maybe as a rotational piece, he can deliver the best football of his career. Wouldn't be the craziest thing that's ever happened in the National Football League. So that, that was the contractual work. I just go back to what I was talking about at the top of the show. The restructure for Christian McCaffrey. It's a big deal. $8.6 million for the 49ers, standard accounting, but it does open up maneuverability for them in this offseason. The 49ers have picked up offensive linemen, though. See, they didn't pick until this question right here. I'm getting this question a lot. 49ers did not pick until late in the third round. It's not as easy as just picking a lineman in the sixth round and plugging him in and saying he's better than all the 10 linemen you already have on your roster. You could say that in the first round. You could say that in the second round. But if you don't pick until late in the third round, it's not that easy to say that. So then you don't want to waste draft picks on guys that aren't going to make the team. What the 49ers did is they let a guy like Joey Fisher, who went to a small school in Shepherd University and wasn't drafted for whatever reason. I think the big part of it was the small school thing, but they picked him up in undrafted free agency. That might be a gem. That might be a diamond in the rough. That's a lot better than any fourth, fifth, 6th, or 7th rounder could have been. So just let this play out because the 49ers have already added 3 offensive linemen in undrafted free agency. Their names are Joey Fisher, Ilm Manning, a guard out of Hawaii, and Corey Luciano, who's a center. Fisher could maybe be a guard. He played right tackle, though, in college at Shepherd University. Yeah, I think that one of Trey Lance's strengths is actually his movement in the pocket. I don't think the footwork is – I think the footwork could be a little bit more consistent, but I think the sense – I think that Trey Lance's presence, Trey Lance's intelligence, Trey Lance's athleticism are all good. It is the mechanical aspect of the game that needs to get better for Trey Lance. That connects all those things together. It is the mechanics that need to get better for Trey, and that's what he's going to be focused on. All right, guys. I think it's going to be time for me to call this. Maybe one more shorter video later, but I think I'm going to officially wrap up this live in 1 hour and 13 minutes. Everybody, thank you for joining. We went through every single possession, every single pick. Sorry, you can tell, getting a little tired. It's been a long day. I think like 20 videos later or whatever. 49ers, another draft in the books. Hopefully I've covered this inside and out. Give me a like, give me a subscribe if you agree. I appreciate all your support. And make sure you subscribe to The Athletic as well. Article is in the chat section, so go ahead and the description. So go ahead and check it out, and you can sign up there. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you again.